All right, hello there, my dear students. I miss you a lot. I hope you're having a great time and also following the instructions and recommendations given by the national government. Remember, guys, it is essential to take care of ourselves and our families as well. Today's class is about two topics. In the grammar part, we have the passive voice with a compound tense, present perfect tense. Remember, we were practicing before with simple tenses, the simple past and the simple present tense. The idea is to continue with a compound tense, and I'm gonna give you some grammar explanations to clarify the topics and, of course, produce orally by writing and communicate with language. And at last, you know that is our purpose, the communicative English in this case. Related to vocabulary skills, we have our project, Green Project, Carbon Footprint. The idea is to add six more terms to continue expanding that list of environmental work that we have. Remember, the idea is to contribute to our nature, our ecosystem, and continue keep on working, okay, with the green projects. Active and passive voice. What is the idea here? Establish to establish what is the difference between these two situations. Okay, so active is simple. So the most important is Tom. Who is Tom? Tom is the subject or the agent that performs or does the action. So it's gonna be the most relevant part of this kind of speech. Okay, we can say, mm, and as a conclusion, yes, and in this case, the subject performs or does the action, and the object receive the action. The example shows that Tom performs has reuse, and plastic bottles receive that action has reuse. Okay. And on the other hand, when we use the passive voice, is to say what happens to the object. In this case, the most important, the most relevant is going to be the object or the action, not the subject as in the previous examples. Look, plastic bottles have been used by Tom. So in this case, the most relevant is plastic bottles and the action that is received in this case. Okay, passive voice. Guys, as I've been telling you for many and many situations, is the language in this case is for using it. Our purpose is to communicate with. Okay, so the most important is not what, is how. So how do we use it? When do we use it? Passive voice, because you relate it right away with your native language. In this case, is Spanish. But the idea is to use it in English and to know, yes, that is possible. Okay, it's so real in English, and you have the same situation, and of course you can use it and you can practice with it. Okay, so we use the passive voice when the object or the action is more relevant. So as you can see, the previous exercise, object and action are going to be more important, yes, than the subject. So in this case, who performs or who does the action is relevant. In the other case, so if we don't know about the subject or who performs the action, and to passive voice, that is okay. So because it's not necessary, so we use it when we don't know what is the active subject or when the active subject is irrelevant. So, for example, penicillin was invented by Alexander Fleming. Okay, so if you're in science or chemistry, maybe you know that name. But in English, hmm, the possibility is like it's like it's little in this case. But when you use passive, the most important is gonna be the penicillin, not the creator, not the producer. Penicillin itself is gonna be the most important. So that is one of the characteristics of passive voice. Okay. Okay, let's check the first example. The idea is passive versus active. The first sentence, Tom has reused plastic bottles, is in active voice. Why? Look, and it is shown that Tom is the subject and is the most relevant part. Yes, we are even using a proper name, and we are using the auxiliary in have, third person singular, because the structure is present perfect. Remember that. We use reuse in past participle is a regular verb, so the ending is with ed, and the object plastic bottles. You see. So the important here is who performs the action. In this case, is Tom. So let's change it. Um, Plastic bottles now is gonna be the protagonist. Okay, they are going to to star in this case in this sentence. Plastic bottles is plural. Yes, Tom was singular. So that way, that's why we are using have and not has. So we use have been as the mark of the verb to be in present perfect tense. Okay, this one right here, have been is the auxiliary. Okay, is the auxiliary of verb to be, but in the present perfect structure. Reuse is the main verb in past participle. It is always gonna be in past participle. So regular ed ending. Finally, use by, yes, as the preposition to include who performed the action or the agent, Tom in this case. You can also use an object pronoun. In this case, is him for he. Remember, she is her, they is them, we is us, and I is gonna be me. You always is you. Okay. Tips. What is this slide about? Simple. I just try to summarize according to my experience three general tips to convert, to use, to practice with the passive voice. So the first and for me the most important in this case aspect to use the passive voice is identify the tense. Okay, so this is essential because in the next step you have to use the verb to be in this same tense that you identified. So I put it in brackets present perfect because that is the tense we're practicing right now. Okay, so you identify the tense and the object. The next step, use always auxiliary be in the same tense you identified. So in this case was present perfect. What is the mark? It's gonna be have been or has been. That depends on the object. Okay. And finally, you are always going to use main verb. Yes, main verb. So the sense of the sentence, in this case, the sense of the action in past participle. So if you follow these simple steps, you're not gonna have any trouble or inconvenience by and with, sorry, using, practicing, communicating in the passive way, okay? Let's practice a little bit. Okay, the first sentence is Liz has reduced water consumption. And we also have a question about the same situation. Has Liz reduced water consumption? Okay, that is change it to the passive. Let's do it. So let's remember the first situation. Okay, so follow the steps. If you were thinking about this answer, you were right. Okay, so let's check. Let's so help me. Okay, remind me these steps. So the first one is identify the tense, and I consider that is the most important. Okay, that one is the most important. So the tense is present perfect. How do you know that? Because of the auxiliary has and the main verb in past participle. Okay, what is the object? Water consumption. What is that? Is an is a singular noun in this case. So to put it or to work as an object. Okay. So water consumption has been. That is the mark in this case. Water consumption. Right here is the object. Has been. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this in a second. And I use right here. So has been right here is auxiliary. Sorry about that. I'm using my digital pen. Has been is gonna be the auxiliary be in the same tense you identified before is present perfect tense. And reduce is always, always, always in the past participle form. Use reduce, and you're finally using by. Liz is the proper noun or her if you decide to use the object pronoun. So that was the idea. Simple. Let's check now the question. Has Liz reduced water consumption? So you know it's a question in the present perfect tense. First, because it started with an auxiliary. In this case, it has. Yes? So the same situation happens with the passive voice. We put it right here. So has is gonna be the has. Give me a second right here. I'm using that. Has is the auxiliary. Yes, auxiliary. In this case, auxiliary, auxiliary have. Yes. Why has? Because water consumption is the object, and in this case is singular. Okay, so has is with been. These two particles are gonna be the mark of the verb to be in the present perfect tense. Here we have reduce is the main verb in past participle. Finally, by the preposition proper noun Liz or object pronoun her. Okay, guys, talking about the grammar part, we finished with this. I know that you are not gonna have problems, okay, with this, but and just in case, we're gonna be in touch. In the case you have questions or maybe you want to clarify something, but it's so simple. I hope you mm, understood the, the lesson, okay? Now let's continue with the vocabulary. So it's gonna be very simple. I just have the main topic or main title is our green project carbon footprint. I'm gonna give you 6 more terms. The first one is energy efficient. So, and as is and represented in the image, And energy efficient is a property of an appliance or device to save energy consumption. So it's something that helps in this case energy consumption and avoid using or in this case wasted just by using natural or green resources. Okay. The next one is fossil fuels. Okay. As we can see, the fossil fuels they could be organic materials. Okay, like oil, natural gas in this case. Okay. Um, we also have coal, yes, very popular right here in Colombia. Okay, those are fossil fuels. And remember, these come from prehistoric plants and animals. Okay, so mm, that that's why we call them fossil. Okay, and livestock. You know the name is a little bit weird, and it's like for me, it's as you were in like in a rock music concert or something like that using livestock. So livestock is is we can say it's like a process, okay, procedure method when domestic animals not used for companionship but for other benefits. For example, in this case is cattle farming. They are raised for meat or milk. So livestock is that word. Okay, what about carpool? Carpool, very popular. Was very popular nowadays. So right now, no, because we are just following the recommendations. Remember that. To carpool is just to drive other people in your car, yes, if you have it, to work or school. So there are fewer cars on the streets. So that way I'm using this because it's very useful, yes, and good for nature, ecosystem, green projects, green living, and is of course good for your mm, mm, pocket, because this could help to reduce your money consumption by using or just taking the same route with your colleagues, workmates, co-workers, classmates, okay, etc. Mm, we also have to offset. So I put that, shows that image because offset is just to balance, okay, or to come or to try to not to do it is to reduce if you are talking about carbon footprint. When we say offset your carbon footprint is mainly related to the unit. Yes, we are preserving, we are trying to help our nature. So you say to offset your carbon footprint is to reduce, to balance, okay, your your what do you know about a carbon footprint? So it's the amount of greenhouse gases produced by an individual or organization during a specific period of time. So offset is just reduce, try to help nature, okay? Finally, we have some environmentalists talk about a fourth R. The name is recover, okay? So what is recover in this case? Is not about health, okay, or something just like in the literal information. Recover, in this case, talking about carbon footprint, is to convert waste into resources. Sorry. That's why I chose that image because you see the process. So lipids in this case, so from animals or vegetables, they change, they are converted, okay? Yes, they are waste and they are used to be converted and produced. In this case, the example is biojet fuel. to use in airplanes, and also for fuel, like a green diesel for buses or means of transport. Okay. All right, guys. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Um, Thank you very much. Okay, thanks a lot. And thanks for supporting me in this new process. The idea is to continue working with this together. It's very active work. The idea is to continue improving, okay? Because uh, we have to continue learning, practicing. All of us, okay? You as are my students, and I as your teacher. Okay, we have plenty of information to share between ourselves. Okay, so guys, see you soon, my dear students. I hope you enjoy this and have a good day. Bye bye, my friends.